Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Fairy Friday. There, it says you are now live. Although I might have been live before. I never know. Hello, it's Margaret Sample coming to you from the beautiful Niagara region of Ontario in Canada. And as I look out my window, the sky is that brilliant cerulean blue color and the sun is shining. So it's a great day to get outside here. Cold though. Ooh, chilly. It says with the wind chill. Wind chill. It's -5 Celsius, which it's starting to be chilly. Anyway, I am here to bring you your almost weekly message from the fairy folk using Brian Froud's beautiful Fairies Oracle deck. I have a couple things I always like to say before I get started shuffling. One is if you are seeing this message, whether you are seeing it live or on replay, it is because the message today is meant for you. So I hope that you will enjoy receiving the message, whether you're watching it live or on replay. And sometimes I see comments, and sometimes they don't come through until afterwards. But I always look for them. I love seeing them. I love your little thumbs up and your hearts as they come in. I really appreciate those. And sometimes the personal messages that you guys send me afterwards just touch my heart and make me so happy. So thank you for all of that. Okay, I think that's what I needed to cover. And now let's shuffle and see who comes forward with today's message. Waiting for one to jump. Oh, there it is. Okay. A couple spilled, but this one is on top. So, G. Hobyah. Hobyah. I think I'm going to say Hobyah. Hobyah. G. Hobyah. Isn't he something? So, this is one of the fairy challengers. And these are the fairies who bring us face to face with our fears, our denials, inner traumas, insecurities, delusions, confusions, all of those things, our misbehaviors, and they test us. They test our alertness, our awareness, our insight, and they are checking our wisdom, our knowledge, and our dedication to our personal growth. All of those things. They set us tests, and without the fairy challenger, sometimes we might get a little bit lazy. So it's really good when they show up, but it's not a time to sit back at all, because it means there's a test of some sort going on, and they don't test us until they think we're ready to pass the test. However, because they don't want to do it more than once, because it takes a lot of their time and energy. However, sometimes we may not feel ready for it, but when they do show up, it means we are ready. Okay, so G. Hobyah is about imaginary fears, unreal hazards, and realistic cautions. His power really lies in our imaginations and fears, and not in the real world. So, for example, G. Hobyah, he doesn't tell us his first name, because when you name something, you take away its power. And by keeping his first name a mystery, he maintains just a little bit more power that way. So it's a good reminder, lesson for everything that makes us frightened. When we name it, we take away some of the power. Okay? And he thrives on our fears. He gets stronger and stronger until we actually face them and face him, right? Because really what he is he's a sham. He's a teeny tiny little fear that gets blown out of all proportion. and the smallest positive thought or force will banish him. Poof, there he goes. Um, you know how we can scare ourselves, right? Have you ever been out camping in the dark of the night and you start to hear a sound and you startle, and then your heart starts to beat, and then your mind starts to go crazy imagining all the things it could be, everything from, oh, it's probably just a raccoon, but what if it's a bear? Oh, but what if it's a bad guy? Right? We can let our imaginations take those fears and blow them up. And Hobyah's job is to wave our imaginary fears in front of us, making them look as alive and as real as he possibly can, and he is very good at this. So the the big challenge that he offers to us is to see that some of our fears are imaginary, false evidence appearing real, right? That old definition of fear. And then also to know that there are some things we really must be cautious about. And he teaches us to look for the truth. So if you are camping and you hear a noise in the dark, hopefully you don't have food in your tent. You've put it in its container and hung it over the tree, because if it is a bear, you've taken the necessary precautions, and the bear's not going to go, ooh, smells like yummy food in there, um, right? Ooh, bacon. That kind of thing. Okay, so we have to look for the truth behind our fears. When he shows up, it's time to delve a little deeper. And it's really interesting that he's showing up around this whole full moon lunar eclipse, right? That's going on. I guess it was this morning that it peaked, that it actually happened, but the energy from that sort of spreads out on either side of the event. And that energy is really about looking at things we haven't wanted to look at for a while, look at our inner thoughts and beliefs, and to decide which ones to let go of. So it's really interesting that he's coming right now, because he's pushing that agenda a little bit even harder. He wants us to look for the truth behind the fears, behind the anxieties, behind the hesitations, and to distinguish between what is real and what is simply a projection of old traumas and fears. This isn't to say that they don't have validity in that sense. However, when it's not present, it's time to delve into those old patterns so we can see past them, so we can move through them into a more liberated life. Because every time we confront a false fear, every time we look at it, name it, and deal with it, it makes us braver and stronger. And I'm hearing the Disney song, I want to see you be brave. That is a lot of what's going on for all of us right now, okay? And as we do that, then we gain the strength and the courage to deal with the real challenges in our lives. We deal with the paper tigers, and then we can deal with the real tigers. Because there's always real tigers amongst the paper tigers. But sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we don't see what we really need to pay attention to and what we really need to be cautious about. Okay? Because sometimes when he shows up, he's reminding us that caution, fear is justified by a real threat. You have a real tiger, you better be prepared to be afraid, but not show your fear, so that you can know how to deal with it. you have to be sure to seek the truth of a situation and be able to distinguish between the imaginary and the real. It's wonderful to have a detailed imagination. I have a huge imagination. I can talk myself in and out of anything. When I was a young adolescent, I went through a phase where I was afraid people around me were turning into vampires. Yes, I probably read Dracula at too young an age. But one day I managed to convince myself that my beloved piano teacher who had gone across to the washroom and was coming back had turned into a vampire. And that when she came in, she'd have, fangs and blood, and she was going to turn me. Anyway, I was terrified. I could hardly breathe by the time she opened the door and it was just her. Oh, I just have comments coming in. Good morning, Danielle, and good morning, Kathy. Hello, my beloveds. Um, so, we can let our imaginations can take us crazy places. That's kind of an extreme example, but, I was probably kind of a little extreme when I was 12, 13. As most 12, 13-year-olds are. If anyone has one in their life, right? Everything is big, but we carry that stuff. And when we have those imaginations, we can lose track of what's real. And then sometimes we get so used to brushing off things as, oh, it's just my imagination, it's just my imagination. No, that we don't pay attention to what's real. And I especially am thinking right now about when you get that feeling in your gut. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to that. Because you meet someone, hello, my darling Randy. Oh, some of my favorite people are saying hello. It's just so cool. Um, that you have to pay attention to that feeling in your gut. Sometimes you meet someone and you get that little feeling in your gut. Pay attention to that. It's there for a reason. Also, you're walking out in the evening or at night and you get that feeling, stop. When I lived in downtown Toronto, I lived 2 blocks away, 2 long blocks, 2 bus stops away from the subway station. And depending on how I felt when I got to the subway station, I would either walk those 2 blocks to my house or where I lived, or I would take the bus and I would go by the feeling in my gut. And you know what? Do that, because it's that's that's important. And when you're used to paying attention to that, Hobyah won't fool you. Okay? So, my darlings, that is. Anything else? He's got such a weird sense of humor, this guy. He's got a really weird sense of humor. So, yeah. His message is there for everyone. What else did I want to tell you about this morning? In case you hadn't noticed, I have opened my online booking calendar again. I'm accepting bookings up until the end of January right now. November, December, January. And also there are gift certificates available because the holidays are coming, present time is coming, and people often ask me about gift certificates, so I've actually made some and put them in the store for you. So my website's www.margaretsample.com. Okay. He's just like, be aware, be aware. Um, and enjoy. Get outside. If it's beautiful weather where you are, even if it's chilly, put on your long johns and your willies and get out and enjoy some sunshine.